Okay, so I read the next few pages, and the first thing that I wanted to bring up was on page 49, where it basically describes, at this point she's hospitalized for trying to commit suicide, and it basically describes a stereotypical horror movie kind of mental ward in this hospital. And it says, the corridors were filled with blank-faced people muttering strange things to themselves, or knitting jittery patterns in the air with restless fingers, or pacing or rocking incessantly in their chairs. So basically, if you can just imagine walking down those halls, you can kind of feel that cold, the way it smells clean kind of thing. People in wheelchairs, staff. I kind of pictured the nurses with the old nurses' hats and the white outfits. More like the old hospital in the movie Shutter Island with Leonardo DiCaprio in it. That kind of spooky, eerie, just cold hospital. And I think it speaks to the fact that not so long ago, it was common treatment to just set someone with a mental illness aside. Just put them in the corner, tie them up so they can't hurt themselves, hurt other people. And they didn't really know what to do with mental illnesses. They didn't know where they came from, why certain people got them and other people didn't, what it meant to have a mental illness, what it was like to be the person who had it, what these episodes were caused by. Some people thought they were being possessed by demons or some pathogenic kind of illness, and they didn't really know how to handle it. So describing this hospital was kind of like that, in the sense that you could see people there, they're just kind of sitting there, they're not really being treated. And I'm sure at the time, this is more where they did have the psychology and the medicine to treat these mental illnesses, but the fact that they were just walking down the halls and they could see these people really suffering kind of made me think of the older hospitals. Things started to get really eerie on page 50, just the next page over, when she's talking to her father, and this whole narration in this section is from her father's standpoint. She comes up to her and she says, "I can fly. Like, you're not going to believe this, but I can actually fly." And he said that given the situation, if they would have provided Lori with an open window or any height she would jump from it, truly believing that she could actually fly. And I think that this just struck me as interesting because I have often had dreams where you can fly, or dreams that, you're falling and you get that sensation. The fact that she truly believed that she could fly, not only was that a breakthrough for her dad, realizing that there is something wrong with Lori, and she needed some help, and they were getting her help at that time. But the fact that you can truly see, okay, this isn't like something that she is just going through. This is something that is really affecting her if she's so convinced that she can fly. And that, of all things, I thought was interesting to tell her dad one day, "Hey, I can fly." And him saying, "Okay, why don't you show me how you can fly?" I just thought that was interesting. The next thing we hear about Lori is just hospital reports, and I thought it was cool the way that they formatted that. The nurse talking, the doctor's talking, and how they're just little snippets of the reports that she was getting. And it said that she was oblivious to external stimuli, so she basically was one of those patients that they described walking down the halls in their own worlds, talking, muttering strange things. She was oblivious to anything outside of her own world. When she's talking about the voices, she also says that they're violent, they're more often there, they never let her come out, and also the fact that if she were to tell anyone, they would personally kill her, which is something that a lot of mental illnesses have, this fear that it's not themselves, that they're being taken over by something that could hurt themselves, which is most commonly why people will commit crimes or harm someone else, because they were being told that if they don't do the specific thing, or if they don't save someone, or if they don't, if there's someone out to get them and they don't stop them, that the voices in their head are so convincing that they will either hurt themselves, ultimately kill this person, and they don't know what to do because they're getting all of these signals inside their head saying, if you don't do this, I will kill you. And they're so convinced in their delusions that this is real, that they actually go through with what these voices are telling them to do. On page 53, we are introduced to one of the brothers' standpoints. He's the younger brother, and he is in the position where he thinks that his parents are so involved with Lori that not only do they not have time for her, but they don't have time for themselves anymore. And he believes that they put Lori in this hospital, in this institute, just to put her in the corner, because if she's not acknowledged, then her problem is not real. He also mentions the fact that in their neighborhood and in their society, you don't mention a lot of these things. You don't mention the bad things in your life. You kind of just cover them up and pretend like they weren't there. So Lori being in the hospital was one of those things where if she was out of sight, she was out of mind, and her mental illness wasn't an issue for them anymore. And he also felt the pressure of them never being home, him always having to start dinner, them always being exhausted when they came home. And he assumed that that his mother was working late when he was going to see Lori, and no one ever really filled him in on what was going on. They never really explained what happened to Lori. I think that he knew that she tried to commit suicide, but he didn't know why. He didn't know she was hearing voices. He didn't know she was sick. So he really didn't understand where his parents were coming from and where their struggles were coming from. And he felt alone in that. And he always looked up to being Lori, having this glorified life that Lori had in college and in high school, and having that ideal life. And he struggled with the thought that if he wanted so badly to be Lori, and eventually that he would be a Lori, like Lori, but still himself, that he would develop this mental illness, and he would develop these struggles and this depression. He didn't want to have that aspect of Lori, and he was afraid that he would acquire it. Just a little nitpicky thing on page 56. It says, party, P-A-R-T-Y, I was just being selfish. So that should actually say partly. They forgot the L. It's just been bothering me, so I thought I'd tell you.